So, over this past week, I did cover Nintendo and Shintaro Furukawa's tweet confirming the existence of the next generation Nintendo Switch and the fact that they are going to be revealing it in the next fiscal year and what that means. I also covered and discussed how I think that overall game plan could fit into Metroid Prime 4's re-reveal and maybe even the release timing around that game. But I want to also discuss with you and break down what I think could be happening in the announced Nintendo Direct that we know is going to be happening next month in June. Of course, this is something that I did break down a little bit in that first initial video in response to Nintendo's tweet about the next generation Switch, or the Nintendo Switch successor, as they're calling it. But I wanted to take some more time to get a little bit deeper into that topic, because I think, as many people know and have even already discussed in many ways, I think that we're possibly looking at the last Nintendo Direct that will be focused solely on the current Nintendo Switch. Because in that tweet, they did confirm that it is not going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch successor or the Switch 2 or any hardware plans. They're focusing on Nintendo Switch titles for 2024. So we know they're focusing on the current console that exists now. We know that they're going to be focusing on titles to release for the rest of 2024, although they probably will squeeze in one or two surprises or maybe smaller tier games that will be 2025 titles. But in general, they kind of told us what to expect. And as I discussed in that video, the very cool thing about it is that they told us about this Nintendo Direct a month ahead of time. I mean, normally the cadence for Nintendo Directs is one day Nintendo tweets, hey, tune in for a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, or tune in for a Nintendo Direct on Wednesday at this time, and we'll see you then. But instead, because of all the circumstances around the slowing Switch sales, the inevitable next-gen Nintendo Switch 2, the fact that this coincided with their investors briefing, they made a very cool decision, in my opinion, a very cool decision to be very transparent and say, hey, we're going to do a Nintendo Direct next month in June, and we'll see you then. So as I mentioned, to get back into focus here, I think that we need to really stop and think about, and maybe even sort of appreciate, the fact that I would say there's a 90% chance that this will be, as I said in the beginning, the last Nintendo Direct that is focused solely on the current Nintendo Switch. Because I just don't see a world where we get another Nintendo Direct after this one. And I'm talking about a full main Direct, not a partner showcase, not even a Nintendo Direct mini or an indie Direct. We're talking the normal, regular, traditional Nintendo Direct. I don't see a world where the next traditional Nintendo Direct happens and we haven't already seen the Switch 2. I think the Switch 2 is going to be revealed after this Nintendo Direct and before the next traditional Nintendo Direct, which does feed into the theories I talked about earlier this week, where I said that I do think the Nintendo Switch 2 will probably still be revealed in 2024. I know that they gave us a window leading up to March 25, so in theory they could show it to us after the new year, but that's not my current prediction. Just as a fan, I'm just predicting and guessing as a fan. I think they're going to reveal it in 2024, so even if the next traditional Nintendo Direct happens, in the fall, maybe in that August, September, October time, I think the Switch 2, there's a great chance we will have already seen it revealed before then. And so that next Direct probably will be focused on current Switch titles, but hopefully more focused on next-gen Switch 2 titles. That's my thinking, that's my gut feeling, and it is essentially my prediction. So to me, speaking solely for myself, I find that all very exciting. If things were to play out that way, the way that I'm kind of guessing and hoping and predicting, I think it would be exciting because I'm all about this Direct in June and I'm all about getting the Switch 2 reveal sometime after so that the following Direct gets to feature and focus, if I can speak correctly, gets to feature and focus on Nintendo Switch 2 titles, not just current Switch titles. So if we come back to what could be happening in this June Direct, the one that they told us won't feature Switch 2 stuff, what is the real purpose of this Direct going to be, and what kind of hopefully big surprises or games could we see in this show? Well, by then, we know that pretty much all of the first-party titles that Nintendo has planned for 2024 will be out. All of these Mario re-releases and remakes. Endless Ocean just came out a few weeks ago. The another Code Recollection games, which is not a series that I'm really familiar with or interested in, but I know that those are first-party Nintendo developed or published games. Again, I don't follow that series, so forgive me if I'm wrong there. But I know that bare minimum they're first-party published. Those released earlier this year. So it's just a bunch of Mario games, re-releases and stuff, remasters, and then there's also the Another Code and Endless Ocean. So that's all the first-party stuff for the first half of this year. So what are they going to talk about for the back half of the year? I think that we're going to see a lot of the smattering of, indie games and maybe last generation ports coming to Switch that we don't know about. We'll probably get some other announcements of things like Xbox 360 era games and ports also coming to Switch, like they've done in the past, like when they announced the BioShock games, for example, stuff like that. I'm sure we'll get some of those, and there has to be one or two semi-decent sized first-party Nintendo games. I guess I don't know what they could be if they're going to do another remake or remaster of something that they haven't already done. Like, I could see something potentially very exciting, like a remaster of Star Fox Assault, or even Star Fox Adventures, which I love. I think something like that could be on the plate. Maybe they do something like they announce a Kid Icarus remaster, or Metroid Samus Returns getting an HD port. I could see stuff like that getting announced. New games and first-party franchises, I don't really see a whole lot of options on the table, because as I've been saying for probably 2 years now, I think that for a while, Nintendo has been in a position where we know they've been developing and preparing for the Nintendo Switch 2 for the last couple of years. They've started to realize every new entry in most of their first-party franchises, they have to consider having prepared for the Switch 2 and not the current Switch. So I think, with the exception of Metroid Prime 4, every other franchise Nintendo owns, every other new entry in a Nintendo franchise, I think they have to be saving for the next generation. So, before I talk about the Metroid Prime 4 stuff, that's why I think anything else first party for the rest of this year, 2024, on the current Switch, it's going to be stuff like a Kid Icarus remaster, a Star Fox remaster, Metroid Samus Returns, or Metroid Primes 2 and 3. I think those are also big options on the table. Stuff like that, to me, is probably most likely. We're not going to see the next Mario Kart, the next 3D Mario, the next Smash Brothers, the next Animal Crossing, anything else like that that we can think of. Those aren't going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch currently in 2024. All of those next entries are coming to the Switch 2. I just know it. And so, yes, of course, that does bring me back to Metroid Prime 4, and I don't need to spend much time on this because my entire last video was about this, but I'll just use this quick minute or two to double down and reaffirm what I've been saying, which is that I think that the best chance for a huge first-party, one last thing, bomb drop moment is Metroid Prime 4 being re-revealed with an official trailer and official gameplay, or at least bare minimum, like a first look. Even if it's like a 30 or 60 second thing where only 20 seconds of that trailer actually features gameplay and a look at Samus, I think that is very much on the table for this Nintendo Direct. Of course, as I also discussed in that last video, a lot of that has to do with their release plan for this game, and if it's coming to the Switch, if it's going to be cross-generation with Switch 2, and if they would want to reveal it first on the Switch hardware as opposed to save it for first revealing it on the Switch 2 hardware. So I really think there's a phenomenal chance Metroid Prime 4 will be there, which is why I will be recording my reaction to the Direct just in case I'm going to have an opportunity to see this happen. But it's tough to know for sure. I think there's also a chance that it's not there because maybe they're going to save it for a Switch 2 reveal instead. Very, very tough to say. I'm probably leaning in the 75-25 camp. So 75% chance. Maybe I'm going to change that to 60-40. 60% chance I see it being at this Nintendo Direct. 40% chance I see it being saved for the Switch 2. All based off of guesses and theories I, as a fan and a Metroid fan, am stating, right? This isn't about leaks and rumors and things that people try to peddle as information for their online content and personalities. I'm just guessing here as a fan, you guys. 60-40, pretty darn good chance that it's going to be at the show. But if it's not going to be the end of the world because I think they're just saving it for the Switch 2 reveal. And so ultimately, I think that's what this Direct is going to come down to. It's their big summer Direct, so at least for that traditional E3 summertime. They're giving us a show that we always like to see in the month of June. It's going to be kind of combating Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, which we know Nintendo won't be a part of. I believe Xbox is doing a show. There's been rumors about Sony doing a show in the upcoming weeks here as well. So, everything's probably going to coalesce around the same time, and luckily Nintendo is giving us something. But again, they're in a strange position because this is their big summer direct, but the Switch is being phased out. They just confirmed the Switch 2 is going to be announced soon. I am of the belief that the Switch 2 will be shown this year, and I'm also of the belief that there can't be anything huge for the current Switch and the rest of 2024 except for Metroid Prime 4. So they have to strike a balance of what can they show us to get us excited about buying games on the current Switch in June in 2024, and what are they saving for the reveal of the Switch 2? And our first-party title is going to be relegated to just more remakes and remasters, which is what I think. Again, Star Fox games, Metroid games, Kid Icarus, something else I'm not thinking of. I don't know, maybe Punch-Out or something like that. I could see Silk Song maybe being a huge thing for them to show here and maybe give us a confirmed date for Silk Song. That would be a significant get for the Nintendo Direct in June. Considering that game is going to release on all platforms, if Nintendo in their June Direct gets to be the company in the show that announces the release date of that game coming to the Nintendo Switch in 2024, that could be a huge mic drop moment for them as well. So, like I said, a lot of stuff going into this Direct, man, and because I think this will be the last Direct focused solely on the Switch to kind of close out this era, there's a lot riding on it. And so it's great that they told us not to expect the Switch 2 so that expectations can be tempered in that sense. But we still have a lot of high hopes for games. And I have high hopes for Metroid Prime 4. So it's an exciting time. I want to believe it's going to be a fun show. Is it going to be a 10 out of 10 A+ show? Probably not. But I think they've got a few opportunities with like a Star Fox remaster, Metroid Prime 4 gameplay, and a Silk Song release date. Those are the kinds of things that, to me, could make it a really excellent show. I mean, Metroid Prime 4, to be fair, for me, would make it a 10 out of 10 show. Maybe not for everybody, but it would for me. However, it'll still make it a damned good show in the eyes of most people, just because we've been waiting for that game for so long. So, we're a couple of weeks away. June is technically just around the corner at this point, so we'll see what happens at this theoretical final Nintendo Switch Nintendo Direct.